Hi, this is Dr. O'Sullivan, and you are watching Holistic Pet Care with Dr. O in a real life, real time consultation with with Erika from Change Your Range. She is going to practice her hopefully her miracles and her wares on my personal pit bull. My personal pit bull, his name is Gambatte, and he has a pit bull given to me, well, brought to me to be put to sleep because of parvo, and we got him through that. And then he since then had bilateral blindness and weakness in his back and neck. And then he ruptured both of his knees on the same day and had 2 major surgeries, one of which had to be repaired. Then he goes and has underwater treadmill therapy, every therapy he can have, rehabilitation. Then I do my wares with him, herbals, great nutrition, and acupuncture, massage therapy, electrostim, everything I could think of. And here we are with Erika. So, Erika, it's your show, sweetheart. I will do whatever you tell me to do. And Gambatte's right behind us. And my big black lab's going to bother us the whole time. My apologies in advance.
No, it's okay. I think it's what makes it real, because this is home, you know?
You're not kidding about that. Okay, here he is.
That's great. If you could actually bring him a little bit more forward in front of you or to the side of you where she's standing would be awesome.
All right, give me a second.
Just slide him over with his blankie.
Just give me 1 second.
Good boy, Gambatte. So while she's getting started up, my name is Erika McElway from Change Your Range. As we had already discussed, we're going to be working with Gambatte. Dr. O and I have never worked together with him before, so this is going to be our first time working together, but also seeing what we can do with him with his long-term conditions. Getting herself ready, and we will be putting Gambatte through some of my initial, oh, there you go, perfect. Good job. Yeah, maybe it's easier to move that, right? So this is some of the things that I would do is in working with you as a home consult is that I would be asking you to provide the camera to the right angle that I need in order to interpret what we're going to be looking at. So at certain times I may ask Dr. O to change the angle of the camera, and the reasons for that will follow. Hey, Gambatte, how are you? He's so beautiful. So beautiful. So tell me again, how long ago was his surgeries, and where are we since his last situation? If I believe you said he does have a wheelchair that you've involved into his world.
He does. You can actually, I think, see it in the background there. Oh no, I lied. Here we go.
I catch a little glimpse. There it is.
There he is. There he is.
Yeah.
And look at you, you big beautiful boy. So he came to me, like I said, parvo. He went bilateral blind. You might be able to see his eyes with the cataracts. He had his first set of bilateral TPLOs 2 years ago, and then his left side failed. The bolt sheared off, and the whole plate screamed backwards and broke his fibula, and they had to redo the whole thing. And that was about, oh God, we thought we were pretty well into recovery. So I'd say 16 weeks after his first surgery, he went in again. So I would say up until a year ago, he was still doing rehabilitation in Vegas with underwater treadmill and all of the modalities that they have at their facility. And then here doing acupuncture and massage therapy and such. And then he had an accident. He was walking around the backyard and he tumbled down a rock, like a little rock ledge or a slope, and he hurt his back, right here. And then ever since that day, he has been in neurological decline for what would classically be called like an IVDD lesion, intervertebral disc disease lesion, the intervertebral disc compression. Who knows? I didn't
right here. You're right at thoracic lumbar, or are you early lumbar?
That's L1, L2 right there.
Okay. Yeah.
He's 2'3". That's probably where his most compression is 2'3". And that's his story. So he got acupuncture and he did well with that, electrostim, good good reflexes, and then he's just gone and steadily declined. And as you guys saw maybe in the previous show, he will drag himself around like a seal, which breaks my heart because he's so strong and big in the front end, and he always has been. But within the last year, I went with Leslie to Eddie's Wheels and got him a custom cart and he got his ambulation back, which is awesome. And at that point, he was spinal walking, and now he doesn't do that anymore either. So,
Okay.
So that's where we're at.
So you got ambulation even from his rear with the cart?
Yes.
With the use of the cart, okay? And that's a part of the discussion with getting him into a normal stance. That is usually at times what we see is that we'll get a response back just from the use of the cart as a therapeutic modality. So that's great. But you said you got that, and now he's no longer doing it?
He had spinal walking as soon as he got into the cart, and even when I was sling walking him, he did the spinal walk where the body imitates walking without pressure.
Yep.
And he has, even with the cart, he has gotten a better ability to rise. When he leans forward and let's say he's pressing to urinate or pressing to defecate or to move, he has been able to rise in his rear end. Got some strength there, but he doesn't have the ability to get his proprioception, to get his feet underneath him. And then his being in a cart with the more normal positioning of a spinal cord this way instead of cattywampus when they're down in the rear, definitely has had some great results with regard to the strength in there, but he still doesn't have conscious proprioception, and he does have reflexes. And I can do his popliteal fossa, and it causes him to just stand right up and improve his motor. So if he's standing by his water bowl, I position his feet, and then I give him stimulation of his popliteal fossa behind his knee. He goes and just gets motor and stiffens right up. So, or maybe it's the reflex and stiffen him right up. But that's your forte, my dear.
Yeah, no, and this is good. So you're basically saying, when he's got pressure to defecate or to release his bladder, during that process, you actually see him trying to hold posture, correct?
Correct. Absolutely correct.
Yeah. So, and a lot of times he's knuckled where his feet are not proprioceptively correct, but he's knuckled, and he's trying to use his back and his hind end to function during that process.
All the time.
What happens after that process? He finishes and then he goes right back down again, or does he try to sustain for a little bit?
He will sustain until he goes to take a forward step, and then he goes down.
Okay. And you can stand him at his water bowl, and he will hold posture until he moves forward again, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And that process is when he does move forward, do the legs just fold out behind him and in full extension at the hip, or does he knuckle, drop to his knees, and then baby crawl?
The latter.
Okay, so he doesn't just extend at the hip. His legs are usually behind him. His knees are bent, and he's like kind of crawling like a baby.
For the first 3 or 4 motions, and then the legs get drawn out at the hip.
Okay, and he doesn't want to draw them back. So when he's laying down, this is his typical presentation. Are his legs both underneath him forward at the hip, or where are they?
They're both underneath him forward at the hip right now.
Okay. So one of the first things we're going to do is actually just kind of rotate him so that he's on one of his lateral sides, preferably his right side if you can, and bring both of his legs to posture like he's laying on his right lateral hip with both of his legs facing you. So this is where we would have to, create the process for the dogs because this is what I see, is that the owners will say, nope, this is pretty typical, this is standard. When they lay down, this is how they present. And so what we're going to do is put him into the postures so that we can start to see if any of the things that we had spoken about or we can talk about with reflex can start to be helpful. So, hey, bud, how's that feel, huh? How does that feel? So can you slide him a little bit more forward, or bring the computer towards him a little bit more?
That's about it right there, sweetie.
Oh, okay, that's fine. That's fine. So what I do is looking at his feet. We basically he's at his toes. He's going to be kind of wanting to round down forward. Correct?
Yes.
Yep. So what I want you to do, and I'm going to speak to you in form as they know you're vet mom, but I'm going to talk to you as if you are mom, and the vet part is there but not, so that we can interpret all of these things, okay? What I want you to do is to hold his paw at the bottom in the palm of your hand. The palm of your left hand would be preferred. Your right hand would be up a little higher on his leg, which is going to be above the hock, at the back of his gastroc muscle, where our Achilles tendon would be, or his Achilles tendon would be. Perfect. Yeah. And what I want you to do is I want you to cup that paw, and I want you to actually just squeeze the paw with your hand and your fingers and squeeze, but I want you to lift the middle 2 toes up as if he's actually going to take and walk. And I want you to talk to me about what response we're getting.
Say again. No response?
Is there any response? Take the angle of your pressure so it's just on the middle 2 toes.
No, I've got that with my thumb here.
Push down on the top. Put your thumb on the top, and your fingers on the bottom, and pull up.
Say it again.
Put your fingers on the top. Put your thumb on the top, and your fingers on the bottom. And then now use your fingers and pull him up.
Like so?
Yeah, and just press it.
No resistance.
Just press and hold. Hold that thumb and your middle 2 toes directly to each other with good contact, almost like you're going to do deep pain on the bone.
Yep, I got it.
And then just hold. Are we getting... Sometimes when we do this, we kind of hold and we have to squeeze to get deep pain response, but we're just using our fingers and not a pair of calipers. And is he giving you any resistance at all?
No.
Not even drawing at the knee?
No.
Okay. And how about the other foot?
Okay. Can you roll over? Ah, there you are. Okay.
Good boy.
No.
Okay. Are his feet cold to touch?
No. They're warm.
They're warm?
They're warm, yeah.
Okay. And so now we're going to go through and do a few things along his top line. And what we're going to be working with is his fascia. So what I'd like you to do is right as if the scruff of his neck, and he was a young puppy and his mother was going to pick him up by the scruff of his neck and carry him. I want you to do that and lift. Just the fascia. And I go right down his spine, hand over hand, and do the same thing all the way to his tail. So what we're doing here is to interpret if there's any resistance. Talk to me about as you're getting there. Do we have the same lift and feel? Are you using more force to pick it up?
Uh-huh. Yeah, he's no resistance here whatsoever. And then past his shoulder blades, we're okay. Getting a little bit more taut, a little more tight, a little bit more pull, down pull. And then here at the mid-thoracic, mid-rib cage, there's a bit more resistant, more pull. And then
you can barely get it.
Yeah, exactly. You're exactly right. Towards his 10th rib here, it's like digging just to pick this. I mean, I've got maybe, I don't know if you can appreciate that, maybe a ½ inch up. And then here at his lumbar, a little bit easier to lift, but still a bit more pull. I don't know what the right words are, but it's more difficult. It's more difficult. And here, you're right. Here, mid lumbar, a lot of resistance.
Okay, just keep going all the way to the base of the tail, and just see what you feel, and give me that back. I can see it, but I wanted to hear you, just in case my camera angle was off.
There's some improvement here at his LS as we get to his hips here.
Sacrum,
yeah. He's reacting right now. He's kind of moving into it, as if I'm kind of trying to pull him up. He's pushing with his legs here. Towards me.
Oh, he's pushing with his legs like he's going to have a bowel movement, right?
Yeah. Both legs. I'm right here at Ba Wei, or so the LS.
Yeah.
And I've got a good inch of skin here going down to his tail head. He's very attentive right now with his ear posture and such. And right at the base of his tail, I've got a little bit more skin being able to be pulled up.
So his base of his tail matches what part in his neck? So let's go back to, okay, see what the base of his tail is like. And the base of his tail matches what part on his neck? Or what part on his back? It should be behind the shoulder blades at least. And I describe this because he's so active in his front end.
It is about here.
Right where he starts to get tense.
Mid rib cage. Yeah, this is akin to the amount that I can get at his yes, yeah, these two right here.
Okay. Sorry. What I want you to do is take those 2 points. You're going to go starting at that point where you are on his back and the point where you are on his buttocks. So your left hand is going to be on his back and your right hand is going to be at the base of his tail. And you're going to lift evenly with the similar pressure. And then you're going to bring both of the points outward. So away from, your hands are going to move away from each other. And here you can see, you know, even though Dr.O is Dr.O, I'm still working with her as if she's a client and a regular owner, as she is mom. And what I'm doing is talking her through the techniques that I would do to begin interpreting where some of these points that he's locked down are and how.
So I want to pull away from his body and away from each other.
You want to go up away from his body like you're going to lift him like a suitcase, but don't lift him off the floor. And then you're going to move away from each other. So your left hand's going to go towards his shoulder blades cranially.
I got it.
And your right, you're going to create like a traction between your hands.
I got it.
The question is, does he respond to that? Yeah. Is there do we have any back fasciculation or back feed along the muscles of his spine?
He is, he's stiffened up a little. He's much more attentive, his whole body, and no fasciculations though.
No fasciculations.
No fasciculations. No. Okay. How much tension am I to be putting on this?
Enough to lift him, but not necessarily to enough to lift the fascia and to have resistance behind you, but not necessarily enough that you're going to actually lift him off the ground. So you can put a substantial amount.
Okay,
to
I'm
his
with
tolerance. And then what you're going to do is do hand over hand in closer. So you're going to do the same thing, hand over hand to the next. Your hands are going to get closer together and you're going to do the same thing. You're going to squeeze, you're going to lift up, you're going to pull out and create traction on that part of the fascia. And the fascia, for people that are watching, is connective tissue. The whole body is made of fascia. Fascia is your skin. Fascia is under your skin. Fascia connects your muscles, surrounds your muscles. It surrounds each band of your muscles so that the muscles can glide together. Fascia is what creates your spine to glide in your body. And how is he doing with that? Any response?
Actually, there's actually a loosening of his skin. If that makes sense. It's like his fascia relaxed a little bit. No, actually more than a little bit. I wish you could appreciate this. Can you see this amount of?
I can see it. Yeah.
That's 3 times as much as I could get up when we did this first. So this, and then there's a whole tract of skin that is rising up as I pull these 2 pieces apart, creating traction.
Lift your left elbow up a little bit, but keep your hand where you have it. Now lift. Yeah. Isn't it great? Isn't it great? Okay. And they're going to connect right together over that L2, L3. In that L2, L3, which is going to be his vertebrae area, he might be a little bit more aware of what you're doing. But I want you to continue trying to lift and tell me what that feels like right there.
Remarkably improved. I mean, remarkably loose. It's very loose as compared to when we just touched him.
Okay. So go ahead and grab that again and right at that L2, L3 where you feel he's got that. And tell tell me when you palpate and kind of rub to each side of the vertebrae, which, yes, to each side of his spine, what does that feel like in there? Is it gritty? Does it feel like there's sand? Does it feel like very technical, crinkle paper? These are all different types of ways that I would ask to get the interpretation so that we can decide and differentiate if there's extra layers from the myofascial.
It's like silly putty. It feels like silly putty.
Okay.
I've got no crinkling, no like crepitus.
No crepitus, no crackle, no. He's been getting all the TLC, so this is good. Sometimes we find that this is the case when they haven't had a lot of hands-on work, but Gambatte, as Dr. says, has been getting it regularly. So tell me when you go again. Let's try to go through the thoracic. You don't have to do it all the way to his neck, but tell me at the early thoracic, if you go to do that lift, I want you to press into the muscles to each side of the spine, and I want you to go to lift, and tell me if there's a point at which it leaves your hand, a thickening band that leaves your hand, and then then you lift the rest of the fascia. Lift really close to the spine, pinch really close to the spine, and lift up. And there might be one band that leaves your fingers, but then the rest of the fascia comes. And if you don't feel it right there.
It's right here.
Okay, go down and see, can you reach that point all the way down? So you're going to go back down his spine again, and you're focusing on lifting that band into your hand and at least being able to pinch it or feel it leave your fingers.
From all the way up his neck and down, or just from his shoulders?
From his shoulders down to his pelvis. For watchers, I forgive you. I'm looking very intently at the screen because I'm watching to see what we would have here. My facial expressions may be changing, but I'm very intent on watching this. So
it's right there. It's right there.
Okay, and can you keep grabbing it? You should be able to hold that in your hand all the way down.
Yeah, I've got it. And he knows it. He knows it. He's very, very still right now. Like, what are you doing?
Right. Yeah, very aware. Awareness is good. That means he feels you.
He's like, what exactly are you doing? His ear posture. There it is, right there. Holy smokes.
But you're looking for it now, huh?
Yeah.
You're digging for it. So some of the things that we'll do is see if you can see if you can't grab it over L2, L3, or can you? And the question I have is, can you grab it all the way down the spine, or does it find a point at which it gets lost and you can't get it again?
It's getting more difficult to get it right in here. Almost at the end of his rib cage here is thoracic. Let's see. He's got a big old spine, it's like
yeah.
I can't
and so this is where I'm going to ask you for one moment to kind of step out of mom mode and go back to vet mode, because some of these things here, I mean, this is just another layer of fascia encapsulating. This is the fascia layer that encapsulates the spine. That is the fascia that is covering the spine underneath the lumbar musculature, underneath that longissimus muscle. And this is where that fascia, can hold such restriction, it can stop the neurologic communication. We can still get communication, but at some point when the muscles contract, it puts more pressure, and now, it may not even be into the disc or the spine that we have this, but now the fascia is just squeezing it.
I've got it back right here. I don't have no.
Okay. So just ease up on your pinching. Is he responding to you, or is he responding to the other dog?
No, there's a noise at the door. He's just being a guard dog.
Okay. As long as that's a response from the door and not from your hand, that's what I wanted to know. Those are the things I'm watching. That could also mean more discomfort or something that I don't want to miss.
No, he's just, there he goes. So I have this fascial band that you're talking about that I've been lifting through here, and I kind of lost it. at T11, you know, I can't get it in my fingers. I can feel it just so concrete down, but I've got it back here. I can appreciate it down here on like lumbar 6, 7, huh?
At the sacrum or before?
Before.
Good.
Before, maybe end of 5. Yeah, end of 5. I can get 6. It's tight. It's much tighter than it was up here, but at least I can get it. I can't pull it up like I could here and have it snap past my fingers, but I can feel it. I just can't get to it. In this portion, it was just like a piece of wood. I can't even get my fingers around it. Here I can appreciate it, but I can't pull it up and have it snap through my fingers.
Yeah. So this would be, you know, okay, where I would just in a sense of communication and involving, you know, where do we start? Because you've had such softness and putty from before, my focus with you and him would be to start for a week and do this fascial release in working with that. So now I'm going to go over a few techniques that we've located where the fascia is getting adhered to the body, which is restricting. We've located that secondary band is also restricting, so we're going to work to open that up. And so I kind of the same way that I had taken your techniques to ask you to find it, I want you to use that same fascial lift, but I want you to go to just lifting him at the hair. Now, he's a short-haired dog, so it's going to be very hard. But I want you to start by lifting him by the hair follicle and tell me what you get.
Do you want me to start at the neck, or where would you like me to start?
Start just above his shoulder blades and go down. I think his head and neck, he's moving it great. He's licking and chewing. His TMJ from here looks good. So we're going to...
His lips, your lip was stuck. That's embarrassing, honey.
My focus is going to be from you know, early thoracic, mid-thoracic, and down.
So is this what you want? I'm literally lifting his hair.
From the hair follicles, right?
Like literally, I'm just pulling his hair and his skin up. Yeah, okay. All right, let's see.
Between your fingers, you have just hair, right?
Yep, that's it. All I got is hair. There's no skin.
Yeah, keep going. And right down middle of the spine and see what we get. In the simplicity of this.
This is much tighter here.
Yeah.
There. I'm looking in the middle of his spinal cord while we're doing this here. Oh, very tight, very, very tight. I can only get a little bit of lift right here. Well, that's where it is, right? That's our problem.
Yeah, right at the point of right at the point. You can only get a little bit. Right at the injury site. It's amazing.
Right. I mean, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm making this ooh face. I'm glad you guys can't see it. I'm like, oh.
The ooh face. But you've had your hands on him for how long?
Feels like forever.
I know.
All right.
We're looking at him differently. That's all this approach is. It's just a different approach, a different look at the same dog with the same condition.
Okay, now. Oh, huh. Very nice, because I don't, can you even appreciate this? The amount of skin that's pulling up as compared to just on the way down, it was very tight, and now I'm actually getting more lift on the way back up, like a lot. So
this is interesting. So let's talk about this for a minute, because this is something, if I were to have sent you the other way, it's potential that you would have. So really, I'm going to tell you that it's not so much that your communication or your going from the shoulder to the back is going to create any different lift or response. What it is that the communication of the body starts from the back of the brain and goes down and then comes back. So really what's happening is that the signal from feedback to body is got more way to drive than the signal from brain to function, because the brain has stopped feeding it. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. And this is in real time. I mean, this isn't theoretical. It's not conjecture. I mean, this is real time. And that without him moving up until a moment ago, that just the amount of lift for his, just with his hair follicles has, I'm not lying to you, doubled, trebled the amount of lift I can get on him from going down just what, 20 seconds ago?
Yeah. So
sorry, I'm like a child. I'm so amazed right now. I'm like, look at this.
Now you're playing in the sandbox, right?
That's exactly what I'm doing. That is exactly what I'm doing. And my dog is like, seriously, if you pull out my hair one more time, that's it, lady.
No, I don't see that. I actually see him relaxed, scowled. He's breathing. His respiratory rates look good. His ears relaxed. He's actually opening his mouth and his jaw. To me, I see like he's got some relief points going here.
You know, I'm not. You're not lying, are you? My gosh, look at this. Huh, buddy? Huh.
So we're going to work on that, and that's basically, I mean, where I would, you know, if we weren't online and on the air kind of doing something like this, same thing. I would say, okay, we're going to stop at this point here. We're going to focus on this. You're going to focus on this for the next, 5 days, and you're going to work twice a day, smaller amounts more frequently to get this to release. And you're going to work with the same techniques I gave you, lifting up at both ends, pulling away, working your way from the shoulder and the tail back into the point of injury. And you're going to feel this start to open up and lift and become more soft and supple again. And the goal is the goal. It may not happen in 5 days, but the goal is to get the fascia and that other layer of connective tissue to lift with you and leave your hand all the same, with the same effort, the same hand, the same amount of effort from each hand, and the body is to lift and relieve from your hands the same way. Does that make sense?
It does. I have an additional question here, though, while you're here and he's here. Towards the end here, when I was pulling his hair up, hi, sweetie, in this midsection, he moved his head around to look at this foot here, and this, his rear foot that he wasn't having. Actually, he's doing it right now. There was, so I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm hoping that there was something, maybe a little zinger or something that maybe he's feeling, because he didn't pay attention to where I am here or anything. Look at him.
It's a good point. And he didn't pay attention to those feet when we were doing the pressure release either before we started. So, and this is, again, some of that amazing work that when we start to see how this focuses and how this goes, the goal is going to be that we're going to get some more awareness, and all the things that you talked about are going to continue to move forward.
Now, look at he says, oh, I'm feeling so attentive. The thing is, his comfort level is his body, not his nervous, not his head, but his body comfort level. Even his neck is feeling a little bit more soft than it did when we first started this, and a little bit more pliable. And well, you can kind of see where I'm kind of bobbing him around a little bit here. But it's just like you said, his ear posture and everything is just kind of like, ugh, that felt good. Like, let's do that again. Let's do that again. That wasn't so bad. What's up, big guy?
Exactly. When we get off the air and you start working through this, and you start opening him up, this body posture, like the way you're moving him, like I just saw you grab his shoulders and his whole head and neck like a bobblehead. Okay.
Yeah, this thing. See that? Yeah. He's just like, oh, okay.
Bobblehead is a technical term for me. I use it all the time. He's yawning, he's licking, he's chewing. All of that means that you're moving toxins and you're releasing the body.
Okay, so that being said, you instead, in the other show, which everyone has to watch apparently, is that nutrition is a humongous piece of this. And then if this was going on with a human, our practitioners would say, make sure you drink a lot of water. You might be a little bit tired tonight, and that we want to make sure to be able to flush all these toxins out. And those are very like broad stroke words. But with regard to nutrition with these guys, what do you recommend? Not the whole thing, because I know that's a totally different show. But what do you tell people to do to make tiny changes with these guys, or what are your recommendations here?
At this point, I would follow through to say, make sure you give him enough water that he can handle if he's more thirsty after each session when you work with him, not to be alarmed. That doesn't mean that there's a kidney problem all of a sudden or that there's diabetes all of a sudden. The increased drinking is going to be to flush those toxins through his body, and that would follow suit with any type of therapy in value. But nutritionally, I wouldn't make a change right away. I would not, just because you're Dr.O and you say he's on good nutrition. This is, we need to assess, look at where we are, and go slowly, because if I start changing things and you start changing things, we don't have answers. So my first goal is to get some answers as to, can we get him to signal his feet? Now, once we start to do that and we get to another level, is there anything else in the way of that? And then we start to learn about the different body, and we'll talk about deficiencies and things like that. But that would not be in this segment or this session.
Right. Okay. So being mom, dog mom, I want to do what we did together here for twice a day. For how long do you want me to do this? I mean, you want me to start the same thing with the pulling away the tension and attraction, and then find the band and work on that, and then do the hairs, pull the hair up and do that, and then how long do you want me to work on him twice a day?
So what we're going to do is I'm going to actually give you a few other things to do.
Okay, great.
And then then I'll tell you the duration of everything, okay?
Sorry, I jumped the gun on you there, hun. Go. I'm sorry.
Oh, fine. It's your show, too. I'll share it. So when you go back, you're going to put all these together. And I can already see how you're petting him. You're petting him by moving his fascia and moving the skin. So what I want you to do is to put that all together, and you're going to lift the hair. You're going to do the hair follicle lifts. But I want you to kind of lift use opposing hands. So if you do the hair follicles, I want you to do left and right hand right next to each other, and you're going to rock them back and forth. Not so much trying to massage the muscles, but just taking the hair follicles. So you're working on the whole fascia. So just do the hair follicles, lifting straight up. Put your fingers together with just hair follicles and left and right hand. Yes, like that. So basically, you're going to do what we're just doing, but you're going to do it from the hair follicle layer of fascia.
Okay, all right. And then am I working opposing hands across the spinal cord?
Yep. Okay. Direct lift directly above, and then you're going to do opposing action. So you're going to take the fascia in between, you're pinching it, and you're doing this, the opposing action, all the way down the spine.
What are you doing, buddy? Huh? What are you doing? Oh, there we go. Okay.
So, and some of the reasons is that, you would get some of these responses, and you already have. You have a dog who's already been receiving massage, who's already had layers of the muscle attended to. And I take that into consideration when working here. I may have started at a different point, and we may have started at a different position if he had not had any of these services provided. His body would be responding differently. So each case is individual. It's not a cookbook, but it'll help. And any of these, these techniques that you're doing and that I'm offering to you are things you can do with any dog that doesn't have a problem and still be able to keep the health of their body moving well. So I want you to, you'll work on the lift of the fascia, opposing actions all the way down the spine. You're going to lift it from the skin level, first layer, one pinch, all the way down the spine. Then you're going to go back to that other layer that you have a very hard time achieving, that extrafascial layer, and you're going to squeeze and pinch, and you're going to pinch and oppose that all the way down. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So, but all of those things take place in the order that we've done them in today on the show, and in one session.
And you do all of those in one session, and it doesn't have to be but maybe 2 or 3 times up and down. So your session time is only maybe about 5 or 10 minutes. If you have 15 or 20, that's great. But really you shouldn't do much more than that. If you want to spend more time with your dog, that's fine. Pet him, love him, spend an hour. But intricately opening this up in small amounts over time, not all at once, because the all at once can start to create Again, a little bit more feeling. We've already recognized that he could potentially be feeling his feet. We want to look for any type of different changes in his behavior. I'll be asking that of you the next time we meet. You know, if he starts chewing at his feet or licking his feet obsessively, you need to do your veterinarian things that you would do to keep him from hurting himself, and or I would have you seek your veterinary attention. But you always can call me. You can email me. If you have questions, it will be, you know, I will order my callbacks accordingly to make sure that we get those answers for you if you're having any changes before we meet next.
Oh, that's fantastic. His I think you can probably see it now. His respiratory rate, and actually with what I do, his color has changed a bit. You can't see it with this horrible lighting. I apologize, but going from more of a cherry red, more brick color, he's much more pink, much more, you know, circulation and the things. Okay, I guess things are moving in him that weren't moving when we started, and he's still very quite comfortable with it, but this is impressive. It's impressive. Yes, yes, yes. Now, what are your thoughts about cart time with these guys? How much time do you have any recommendations that they stay in the cart versus not, or certain slow, smaller, more frequent sessions, or what do you think?
Well, standing posture normalcy is a big help for this flow and this energy stuff. So the more he can spend time in his cart, the better. But he can't just stand in his cart. His front legs will be like, I can't just stand here. So we would have to position him to be able to accept keeping himself straight. And there's a lot of things that I do to offer dogs in wheelchairs. It might be that you make him a special bed that he can elevate his front on, lay on the bed, and that'll be, you know, another session to, I guess. How much time do we have in this session to review that?
Up to 6 hours. We have up to 6 hours. So you keep talking, sweetheart.
All right, I have time. So what I would do is if we could actually move him into his cart, and then I can assess a few things and give you some exercises that you can do while he's in his cart.
Okay.
Besides him just kind of hanging out, would also be the next step. So why don't we work for that?
All right, just give me a minute or so. So go ahead and keep talking to folks about what we just did together, how it could be helpful, whatever you want to say, and then I'll click over as soon as I've got him in his cart, okay? So just keep talking, sweetie.
Sounds good. So Gambatte, we saw him open up with some very simple measures of massage and fascial release work, in very mildly. Had some attentiveness to his rear legs, is very normal for what I see, and his position is very normal for a dog who's been having, you know, body work all the time, regularly, I should say, that we're working and we're maintaining, but we're not getting to the next level. So my work here is going to get to the next level, and we're going to use the cart and assess how he is in his cart. His posture in the cart is so important. If the posture in the cart is not correct, which is why custom designed carts are most important, then you're not going to be giving the body its balance. If the positioning of things is different every time you put them in, it can make the body reject and not want to be in the cart. And there's reasons for that because it doesn't feel like it's normal posture. So I have worked closely with Eddie's Wheels. They are a custom company. You can look them up online at eddieswheels.com. But the importance is the custom design importance that goes into your cart is there. Therapeutically, you can get the effects just by being in it. And again, that works great with my affordable home program approach. Is that you would put some of these, put some expense into options that you can use at home, and then use my services to help make use of those tools. Rather than going to see somebody for therapy after therapy after therapy for some of these long-term conditions, can be pretty taxing on a family. So I like how she's putting him in the cart here, and she's just going to kind of, I'm sure, work with getting him in position. What we're seeing is that he is in a regular saddle. It means there's a lot of different saddles. He's in a real wheel cart. We do have carts that are made for front front end injuries, rear injuries, and then there also are quad carts, specially made for healing, short-term use and long-term hospice care. But right now he's in a very standard rear-wheel cart, so that he can still be as active as possible. And what we're going to do is look at the options for using his feet. Now, she's not back yet, but some of the questions I'm going to ask, if she can hear me and can answer from where she is, would be great. But I don't see any stirrups on his cart. So that means that he potentially uses his legs. So let's go ahead and see what she has to say.
All right, we're back.
Hi, Bud. Hi, Bud. How are ya? You're going to tip it. Go ahead and tip it back down again.
I can't hear you. All right, go ahead. What?
Go ahead and tip your camera back down. You could do, we're getting a nice top line view. So we're looking at his shoulder line and his pelvis are at the same level. There's not a big, huge dip in the middle. So the thoracic lumbar junction is being held in good posture. You want to make sure that there's not this big dip or valley at the thoracic lumbar or in the middle. So what we'll do is have you go ahead and drop that camera down now that we see he's good, got a good top line. I want to see more tails wagging. We got a lot of happy tails here. We see happy tails all the time.
What do you want to see, the wheels, or what do you want to visualize, hon?
I want to be more down towards his feet. So we're going to be working more with his rear feet on the floor level.
You got it. Hold on one sec. Let me move. Not you. You don't move, honey bear.
That's actually a good angle that he's in right now. So if you can just move the camera and leave him in that angle, that'd be great. It got the wheels out of our way. You see, I do this often enough to know that the camera angles are important, and we seem to make it work. Everybody has a different situation with what they have for tools. We use phones. We can use all different types of
Whoa. Hold on, honey bear.
Whoa is a horse. He's a dog.
he doesn't know. Whoa, you're gonna hit the. Where do you want him, hon?
Lift up, either bring him forward or lift up your camera a little bit to get all four legs. But
oh, 4 legs, please.
Perfect. That's good. And now bring him.
You're so cute. Think I could bring him anywhere. There you go. That's good.
Maybe just tip it down a little bit then, and then we'll go from there. I gotta see his rear feet.
Rear feet.
Yeah, it's really part of your border. That's good. That's good. And maybe tip it so that it's more towards the rear. Like just slide your camera to face not so straight. Yeah, keep going. Or keep going. Wow, there we are. Perfect. Perfect. I have 2 feet that are out behind him and he's knuckled. So let's fix them. And the one thing I'm going to note is that we're on a floor. What type of flooring is this?
This is linoleum in my office right now.
Okay. Which is okay, but it may be harder for him to get a response. So some things that we'll talk about is that when we do some of these exercises, we could be doing them on a yoga mat. You could be doing them on a piece of carpet,
right.
a little mat. You could do it out in the grass, in the dirt. Somewhere where there's more surface feedback, okay?
Yes.
Linoleum, tile, hardwood floors, you're not going to get the right feedback. So therefore, the reflex isn't going to be the same.
Right.
But I really like that when you put him in here, he's wagging his tail. And now show me how, go to lift his legs. How much weight, go to slide his foot on the floor. How much weight is he putting into these legs?
None. I mean, pretty much, not a lot.
Okay, and try the other one.
I'm getting there. Let's see here.
Now, there's no stirrups on his cart, are there?
No, actually, what's funny? That person that came to the door before, that is his stirrups. Those are his stirrups. They just came from Leslie. This one right here, his right rear, he has a lot more weight on it.
Yeah. I can see that. Yeah.
And then our left one, for the moment, is somewhat more flaccid.
Yeah. Okay. So that's good. So you will be able to use the stirrups in the cart because obviously when moving now, you're saying he's just knuckling and dragging them behind him.
Well, and you can see the chronicity of his skin lesions, where he's been dragging and such. So his what do we want to call it? His calluses, yes.
Yep, yes. So here's where it gets a little tricky, is that, okay, the cart is set up to be at his, keep his top line level and flat, but we're looking for more feedback. So we need more feedback to the feet, and we have our feet on the floor set from the pelvis level. We can't make the floor come any higher because he's got wheels. So what we need to do is we need to give him a fake floor under his feet. And how we do that is by using like a blanket. You can roll up a towel. You can use a piece of foam. You can use a book. You can use a board. You can use anything that'll fit between those wheel angles and be able to rise his feet to the next level. So what I'd like Dr.O to do is look around real quick and see what she might have around to do that.
Okay, here we go. Let's see. All right, buddy. Don't move. We're perfect here, right as we are.
So, what is this? Is that a beanbag?
It's what he was laying on before.
Oh, his bed. Okay, perfect.
So put his feet on it.
Yep, tuck it in underneath and bring his feet, so his feet are now on that virtually, at an even plane across the board. I love beanbags, by the way. Beanbags for these dogs is great. They love laying in them because you can support their core and let their hind legs get some relief without them having to lay flat all the time. So beanbags are another piece of modality that I have my owners get so that they're able to posture them when they're laying down differently for better circulation.
All right, he's on his beanbag.
He's on his beanbag. Perfect.
He's on his beanbag, yeah.
Super. So the idea is going to be to see does he start to push into these legs differently because he's elevated, or do we need to elevate him more to get that response? So here comes now the next level. What height do we need to start getting him to have feedback?
He's got a lot of weight bearing on this right rear, as I said, and then with him, if I rub behind his knees, his popliteal fossa, this whole leg stiffens up and weight bears much more so. And then let me see.
It's hard to see a little bit because his right front's in the way, but he's here right now.
He does. He applies quite a substantial amount of pressure. I've got my hand underneath his left rear foot, and I can feel his toes. And as I rub the back of his leg, he applies a lot of pressure, like standing pressure. Standing pressure.
Good. So what we want to do is he can only stand to the level of the floor. So what you want to work on is that same thing, but you want to raise him up like another 2 inches. You want his feet. You want his knees to be bent and the angles of his hocks to be bent so that he's at the level of his axle or just below. Do you know where the axle is on that cart?
Well, the axle's way down here, but this piece, this long, you don't even, hold on. And
you might not be able to do it right now. I'm just saying in working forward is doing the similar things. So that's not his axle. His axle's down. Right here? Down where the wheel spins.
Yep, right down there. So what you want his foot where the axle is, as high as the axle?
Whoa. I want him to about another 2 inches.
Okay. That's doable. That is doable. Okay. So we got to raise him up some more.
Raise what up some more?
Raise his back feet up some more. That's the goal, is to get that higher. Oh, look, his face is in the way.
We're going to raise the bag, the platform that you have him on.
Yep.
His saddle and his cart's going to stay the same, but you're going to raise that platform that his feet are on. You're going to raise that up 2 inches in between the wheel wells. So can you fold the bed over and make like another level?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. I'm just seeing if he's going to run over the computer. Let's see here.
So the idea with the wheelchairs is that they're therapeutic. They keep his back straighter. They give him ability to function with his front, to keep the front healthy. And he can have his legs carried in stirrups. And we just basically talked about those really briefly, that we'll be adding those on to the cart. And then what we'll do is, he needs the height of this cart to be set to this level. And with measurements Eddie's Wheels is very good about making sure that the measurements are correct, because every dog has their own set of measurements, and there's correct measurements and there's not correct measurements. So from here, we still use the chair at home, but we can't be changing the height of the chair. You can't make it 2 inches taller or 2 inches shorter to get the floor to meet him. You want to leave it at its base level, which is appropriate for your dog, and then therapeutically bring something in underneath his feet so that we can start achieving more pressure. And that more pressure, what we're doing is we're giving more feedback to the brain. So as Doctor was saying, you know, yes, he has weight on his legs, but it's only to this degree. Well, it only can be to that degree because his pelvis is being held by the saddle right now. So his legs are only so long. Right now, we're going to bring the floor to him, and now we're going to have her do that same scratch on the flank and see if he can actually push himself into.
Can you kind of appreciate that a little bit? His legs are up quite a bit higher than they were before.
We can. So now you're going to go back and do your scratch thing again and see if you can get him to push himself and just raise himself off that saddle a little bit. And so what we're doing is we're working with the saddle, we're working with the thing, you know.
Okay.
You got both of his feet are good. You don't have to put him.
Okay, here he goes. Here he goes. He's up. He's up. So he's got his weight on the right side. He's got his weight off the saddle right now. But the left side, oh, sorry.
But it's okay. But I'm just letting you know that you're speaking about it, but we can't see it just due to the angle. But if you change the angle of that camera, we might be able to see it.
Let's see what we can do.
Come in to get this done, but there you go. There you go.
That's a little bit.
So once you stand behind him.
Go. Hold on.
Good. Right.
Okay, there
now what we're doing is we're creating a moment in time where he's actually weight bearing in his legs with all of his weight, and we're using the saddle to catch him when he decides that he can't anymore. So you're going to allow the floor to tighten, allow the feet to push, and you're going to make him do these little.
Here we go. Here he goes. I don't know if you can appreciate his tail here. Can you see him lift himself off here?
His whole back is going to arch. He's using his lumbar, and he's maintaining pressure. So with every scratch and every motion to trigger these reflexes, we have feedback now from the feet, and we have that.
Oh,
when he goes
this side here. This is actually his. This is actually his left that's doing it now. Hold on a second. With the heightened beanbag.
Yeah.
There he goes. There he goes. I don't know if he gets.
I can see it, and I know our onlookers are going to be able to appreciate a change because you can see moving. But how many fingers can you get?
Oh, there he goes.
Slip your fingers under his pelvis and see how many fingers you got off that pelvic floor.
Huh. 2 on the right, 1 on the left.
Good. So we have, some points. So what we would do is say, okay, we now created a moment in a point at which we can put him in his cart and work on him doing leg lifts, which is something that he does when he goes to have a bowel movement. He goes to make a urinary motion. He, for a moment, can hold himself, loses that momentum when he goes to move forward. So now we're going to increase leg lifts, squats, but we're going to use the cart to balance because we're one person. And again, I want to say that some of these dogs, if we don't have a cart or we don't have a modality to hold them up, like the water, we can't get these done on our own. We're staying alone.
For sure. I mean, I couldn't agree more.
They make another point that says sometimes we need an extra pair of hands and the friend can come over or the daughter can help or the son can help. Husband and wife teams work very well together. We make sure of it for the change in range. We make sure that they get along with the dogs when they work together. And then again, I have a lot of my things that we do where it's on one owner, what life is. We can get this stuff working on and giving you some different things to start doing when you're
That's just wonderful. Hold on one second. Let's see here. my wonderful dog here rolled on top of my wires, so I'm actually tied to him right now.
Nice. That was a leg, right?
Yeah. Well, that's it. That's incredibly impressive. With regard to just elevating those back feet, so he's got something to actually push off of to push himself up. You know, with that whole rear end there. And then with regard to his top line and his cart, it looks appropriate to you the way his top line sits inside this cart.
It does when we aren't lifting his feet up 2 inches.
Right.
So when we take him off of his bed, yes, I like how things are. Right now he's a little funny angle, but that's because the bed's underneath it.
Right,
so,
right.
That bed's pushing on that back bar a little bit, so we're getting a little downhill slope. But when that wasn't the case, from your pelvis to your shoulders should be straight across, as parallel as you can. Blades, he looks good. Very short period of time. We've made an assessment. We've actually been able to get some release already happening with your hands and mom's hands. And we've also been able to create a strengthening effort as well. So again, once we release, we have to strengthen. That's a whole other part of the strengthening. 5 days of doing this before we would meet again. It may be a little longer, or it could be shorter if we start running into any hiccups.
Right.
Are you back with us again?
Oh, I'm totally back with you. I had to detangle myself from him, and he tried to run over our computer. Now that he's in his cart, that's what he loves, his mobility. So he's like, all right, let's go. So he's now he's actually on my foot right now. Because he's followed us around the office here. But I honestly personally have no way to thank you for all the work you just did and the techniques, and seeing his immediate response or reactivity to this technique I'm excited. I'm excited about doing it for him on a daily or twice daily basis. And then of course touching base with you next week and seeing what the heck's going on, right, with him, with the results, because wow. So
nothing else needs to change. You add this to what you're already doing.
Oh, yeah. Well, goodness gracious, it's wonderful. So, once again, I've got no way to thank you. This was such great time. Time well spent, all for me and my dog. I appreciate that. So tell the world again, how do we get a hold of you and your expertise or in questions and whatever people want and or need from you? Because I know personally that when you get in a situation like this, there is a certain amount of despair, a certain amount of sadness, a certain amount of helplessness is the word that comes to mind. So how do we get a hold of you, hon?
Again, it's Change Your Range. changeyourrange.com, and you can email me at changeyourrange@gmail.com. Just be prepared for a 24, 48-hour delay in response. We do get pretty busy and have to keep up with our emails and getting in touch with everybody, but we're welcoming to help whoever we can. Again, we do have fees for our services. You can find those on the website or in discussion. But please do, chime in, ask your questions, get some simple answers to start doing things at home that'll start to help your friend.
You know what? We're gonna say goodbye for now, and I'm gonna go and take a shower for all this sweaty work I've just been doing for us, and get him in his cart and get him home and get him walking around a little bit, and put it on our schedule to do these exercises twice a day so I can report back to my new doctor about progress. And you're Erika, you're wonderful, and your skill set is beyond compare. So thank you so much. And once again, I do need to schedule the whole thing about horses, because this dog thing has been awesome, and we need to do some respect for some other four-legged. So
great.
Oh, you're wonderful. Thank you so much, hon.
You're very welcome. You get tired. Physically and mentally, it's not so physically challenging as much as the mental side of taking it all in. It's like you're learning something new, and that's natural. So don't be alarmed at that.
You know what? And the thing is that the emotional piece of it, the being on the other side and not being able to have these safe distance from the patient and all that crap they teach you in medical school, the emotional piece of it, and then seeing improvement and seeing things in front of my very eyes. Honestly, it makes me want to cry tears of joy. So I definitely have to get off the air because it's going to be embarrassing here in a minute. So thank you very, very much.
You're welcome. Enjoy the day.
You too, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Dr. O'Sullivan out. You've been listening to Holistic Pet Care with Dr. O. Once again, like us on Facebook, Holistic Pet Care with Dr. O. Twitter is Dr. O DVM. And just keep watching and sharing on social media how we can be helpful to your needs, wants, concerns to make you and everyone you know a better animal advocate. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.